Welcome to the Getting Divorced Without Losing Your Mind podcast with Corey Shapiro. Quote, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending. This quote is from C.S. Lewis. In divorce news, it's puppy love and a custody battle all in one. A court in New York just rendered a heartbreaking decision for one of its co-owners. They were battling, this former couple. They broke up a few years ago. They were battling about custody of their dog, Waffles. The defendant took Waffles away from the plaintiff, away from the girlfriend a few years ago. I think the girlfriend waited a little bit. During that time, defendant created a comfortable life for Waffles. It really makes you think twice about sharing a pet with another person and what you have to do if you have to go to court because you two can't resolve things. And just because defendant, unilaterally took that dog away from the plaintiff, away from the girlfriend, she didn't do anything about it for a little bit of time. And during that period of time, the dog adjusted to a new life. I think the dog had a backyard, another dog. So the dog was happy. And that's the stability argument that you see in custody cases with children. So here, the court just made it known that the emerging standard is best interests of the pet. We have that in the divorce world. This was not a divorce. They weren't married, but they used the principles from our area. And they weren't going to treat the dog as property. So the moral of the story is if you're ending a romantic relationship and someone, wrongfully retains your dog, don't wait too long. Go to court so you can try to get your dog back or at least get into some type of visitation schedule. All right, question. Can I do collaborative law if I hate my spouse? I would say a couple things to think about. Generally there's two extremes. You have people who go into collaborative law or collaborative divorce or collaborative practice and they get along reasonably well. They're just not in romantic love, but they are civil. Other people, the relationships deteriorated so much, there's so much bad blood between them. So those are the two extremes. And you have to think about certain questions. The first questions I want you and your spouse. Remember, collaborative is by agreement. It's not unilateral like in that pet case. The first preliminary question is, can you tolerate either being in a room or on a video call, where you have to see your spouse? Can you look at your spouse while you're discussing finances and children issues or maybe even pet issues? Can you do that? Are you able to communicate in a productive way? And if you're not able to communicate in a productive way, are you open to having a mental health professional, someone who's skilled at communication, assist to facilitate? And finally, do you believe that a collaborative process is going to lead to a mutually beneficial framework? Do you believe that? Versus what you're going to get in a traditional negotiation, which is more position polarization. Okay, so if all that's, I think that sounds good, Corey, we're on board. Okay, let's go to the next questions. The next question is, are you willing to make compromises? Are you willing to make compromises? This is essential. No compromise, there's not going to be any resolution. And your case can go on and on and on. Even if you're in a collaborative context, you could have months, even years go by and nothing gets resolved. So there's going to have to be some compromises. If you need a decider and you don't want to go to court, maybe you're thinking about arbitration or a private judge or a special master we talked about, someone to make a decision for you. Here in collaborative divorce, we're not going to make any agreements unless we all agree. Okay, here's your final question. Final question. Are you willing to risk more by going to court than by working things out with a team of professionals who only want the best for your family? And when you're thinking about risk, we're thinking about the budget, we're thinking about time, energy, money, and emotion. And a litigation is a long, drawn out, scary process. So just think about your risks before you get involved in a divorce litigation. All right, positive perspective. It's been almost a year since Will Smith shocked the world by slapping Chris Rock on stage at last year's Academy Awards. That the Academy Awards is coming up pretty soon. So I guess capitalizing on that, he released a Netflix special, comedy special. And you know how I tell people that you have to wait at least 24 hours before you respond if you're triggered? Well, Chris Rock waited about a year to respond. And to help you understand the benefits of waiting and processing your emotions so you can respond versus react, I think it's worthwhile to check out his special. It's called Selective Outrage. I think especially the last 10 minutes. I mean, his cadence alone, he can like really read anything with his cadence. It's funny, but he's also a very funny guy and he will give you a perspective. So when asked about Smith's apology, he said, I love Will Smith my whole life. I have rooted for Will Smith, but now when I watch Emancipation, I just watch to see him get whooped. I think I messed that up a little bit, but you get the point. So the point is, he used to love him. Now he's watching a movie where Will Smith's getting whooped. He also responded to, why didn't he fight back? Why didn't he just sit there and take the slap? And in typical Chris Rock fashion, he says, because my parents taught me not to fight in front of white people. All right, disclaimer and closing. Remember, this podcast is only for informational use. Before taking any action, consult an attorney. Be creative, not reactive. Until next time.